So, welcome everyone. I think my view counter is still on 0. I was instructed by people to wait a little bit before we start. Now the view counter is going. Okay, so please let us know in the comments if you can hear and see us. And welcome to Rocket Lab Weekly episode 121. Yes, I see the comments. I finished my McDonald's shift. After this week, when Rocket Lab falls from 100 to 80, I think we're 20% down in 2 weeks. You got to get that extra income going. So where is my Big Mac? Yeah, sorry, had to leave for Rocket Lab Weekly. Didn't have time for your Big Mac. Cool. So today is a very special day because we are doing the show on a Sunday instead of a Saturday. And we have Miss Iglesias with us. We've never done a show when it was just you and me. So it's a very special show.
There you go. I hope I don't bore you.
No, it's amazing. I was always very happy when you were on the show. So
Thank you.
cool. So how was your week in this very turbulent market?
My week was good. I think for a couple of weeks, if we're talking about the stock in particular, I've been just kind of, I think I mentioned in one of my posts about 3 weeks ago, I had sold about a lot of 1,000 shares in my Roth at 92. And then every week thereafter, I just kept selling puts for the sole amount. And then I kept collecting on that premium every week. And it finally executed this week. So I'm back in the Roth. I've always been in with everything else, but in the Roth, I wanted to play around with it a little bit. So I managed to collect a few weeks, a really nice premium, and then end up in a lower range of where it sold at. So I'm still happy with that. But yeah, a good week overall.
Awesome. And for the non-US viewers like me, like the Roth is a tax-free account, right? So you
Correct.
don't
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Roth is a retirement account. You can't access it till you're 59 and a half. Otherwise, you have to pay some penalties, but it grows absolutely tax-free. Whatever you do in the Roth throughout your lifetime, nothing counts. So you can
So
sell
even
options.
if you trade and
Correct.
like you do whatever.
There's no penalties. You can sell, you can trade, you can do options, and it just grows tax-free so that when you're 59 and a half, you can pull from it.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I don't know if you have been looking at the news this weekend. It does seem like things are getting worse. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum in crypto world is really starting to give in. Bitcoin is at 76,000. I saw a tweet. Let me see if I can find it. That a crypto OG has been fully liquidated out of his position, and he has been because he was using leverage, and he lost like $258 million like in a week. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, I don't seem to have the tweet. It's not strictly Rocket Lab related, so I don't have it. But I think this foreshadows like not so good couple of days or maybe weeks. Maybe maybe this is the start of a correction after an overheated market. So I just wanted to hear what you think about this, or if you're seeing this, or
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we have a lot of different things at play here, right? We have, a lot of the political things like the Epstein files coming up again, as Francisco mentioned here in the chat. The whole thing with Venezuela hasn't really been finished out. The thing with Greenland, and all of the things that's going on in Minneapolis. I think there's a lot of turmoil right now, and the market doesn't like instability at all. But yeah, Bitcoin currently at 76, I believe. Yep, 77 right now. I anticipate that we will probably continue to see a pullback this week. But I mean, we haven't seen these lows since what, 2 weeks ago. So
yeah.
I think it's a healthy correction. I'm totally okay with it. I think we hit a little bit of a holding pattern after the tank issue. Was it a week and a half ago? The volume this week for the stock has been half of what it usually is, or close to half. So I think a lot of people are just in a waiting to see pattern.
Yeah, and my very limited technical understanding. Sorry, the screen is not being shown. So here is the Rocket Lab chart for the people who are watching us and not just listening. And yes, we are at a price not seen since the 6th of January. So even though it's hurtful when you look at your portfolio, it's nothing to panic about. And in my very limited technical knowledge, the way I understand is if you have volume increase in a direction, it shows that the move is like very reliable. And if volume decreases in a direction, it means that it's like it's not going to be like a very big move. And the example that when I was listening to a lecture about this is that, like if there's two stocks and then it's trading at $3 and there's nobody on the market and there's an idiot who comes and buys at $5, it was only one stock that was sold, and then it can basically fall straight back to $3.
Right.
But if you have like 100,000 people buying at $5, then it really shows the market that it's like people really agree that that is the price. So falling with very low volume means that it's not a lot of people selling. So people, even though the price is going down, they don't fully agree that it should be going down. That's my very limited technical. You can let me know if it's totally wrong or you agree. Or
no, I think I could get behind that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think anytime you see volume dry up a little bit, people stop trading for whatever reason. And if a lot of us are just kind of waiting to see, kind of in a holding pattern, or like you said, there's not a lot of volume to really quantify the fact that it's going lower. So let's see.
Cool. And I know that a lot of people are watching this to see like where the stock is going to go. So do you have any like because we don't do predictions and financial advice on this channel, but like if the stock would continue to go down, do you have like I think we will hit the 50s or 60s, or what do you think is in the near term where we will bottom out? And do you think it's like, are we going to bounce back, or you think it's more likely that we go down, or what are you expecting, and how will you react to it?
I think based on zero experience technical analysis, just based on like anecdotal observations, I think we spent a lot of time consolidating in that high 50s to mid 60 range. We were in there for a few months. And then we just blew past the 70s. Like we spent zero time in the 70s and even the 80s. So I think if we were to fall back for an X amount of time into a period of wherever we were deeply consolidated in, I would think it would be in that mid 60s range. But who knows? Who knows? I am here to weather the storm. I'm in it. I'm in it to win it.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, and you guys also in the comments can let us know what you think, how low we're going to go, and what the stock is going to do. It seems like the consensus is, I don't know if I can put a poll, but the consensus seems to be that we're going down. So it's probably true. I also lean that way. But do you know if there's a way to put like a poll here?
I don't know. I've never tried that. Let me see here. What does this do? I'm going to start pushing things and I'm going to disconnect myself.
No, okay, it's fine. I don't want to bore the people with this. Okay, we can.
There's visual effects. Oh no, I can't try it.
Nah, it's okay. Yeah, but it seems to be in the comments that we were too high, too fast, and we needed a pull down. Government shutdown as well. Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about this coming government shutdown. And also on the Epstein files, like sometimes I feel that, like maybe it's just me, that like for example the Kennedy files, it was like such an anticipation, and then when they came out, like the sheer volume of the files was like so much that you were like, okay, what do I do with this? And now I heard that the Epstein like I heard that the Epstein file was like millions of pages, and I'm like, I can't sit down on my Sunday and go through and like, what do we even do with that? Like yeah,
I don't know. I would like to say that we would hold people accountable, but I don't know. It's these are very odd times right now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. We get on the Rocket Lab Weekly news. And for some reason, technology is messing with me today. And my things got out of order. So we will take things a little bit out of order. So first off, we had a launch, the 81st launch, Bridging the Swarm. This was for the Korean Space Agency. I believe this was the launch that was pushed from December, and for whatever reason, they had to stand down. And this was the second mission within 8 days. So launch is looking really good so far. I don't know if you have any more comments about the launch.
No, it was beautiful. It was great. I was at Disneyland and I watched it from Disneyland, so it was very cool.
Awesome, awesome. You know, I didn't have time on this one, but sometimes in the beginning of the launch, like they give like nuggets about like the neutron progress. But I think just before earnings, they maybe like tone it down. So was there any news on the launch about neutron or?
I didn't see any, but I was in and out of the broadcast for until it actually started because they I think they had a hold for a little bit and then they reset everything for like another 20 minutes. So I came back to it. So I didn't see anything, but I don't know if I missed anything. Anybody in the comments, if you guys saw anything, any updates that we may have missed?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Cool. So then we go to the next one. So there is news that the Mynaric takeover is stalled, and okay, I just want to check. Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. So German Foreign Investment Review flags laser comms as critical for defense, and particularly for a 35 billion space defense program, which I don't know about. That's a very juicy program that Rocket Lab could be a part of there if they get this Mynaric acquisition. Raising sovereignty and legal hurdles. Decision delayed again. Approval uncertain. My comment on this as a European is that a decision delayed is like standard operating basis in Europe. And this to me, because I saw a lot of people were like, oh my God, the acquisition is in danger and we don't know what's going to happen. And all I can say is just calm down. This is Europe. Things move very slow here. The memes are all true, unfortunately, like that you see on Twitter. They are all true. Europe is very bureaucratic, lots of red tape. And also when I have gotten permits for my projects here in Sweden, it's the same thing that they tell you it will come in March and then it gets delayed to April and then it gets delayed to May. And it just doesn't mean you're going to get it or not get it. It just means it's delayed. And I understand Europe's concern about national, national security. But Mynaric has been supplying the US with these laser things, and that must have already been pre-approved. And I don't see how Rocket Lab taking them over will make it different, other than that they can now pay their bills and employees and they can hire more people. So I don't see this being in danger at all. But yeah, what do you think?
No, I don't disagree with that. I think if Rocket Lab was already using it and a lot of the big prime contractors were already buying these terminals from them, it's not that different. The only time that I did kind of speculate that there may be an issue, and I remember seeing this post from someone else on X, I don't remember who it was, but they had brought up the issue of all the talks about Greenland and then the US trying to take over Greenland and that creating some, a lot of tension in Europe, and that they might move to maybe protect their own technology from us, and that might stall out the acquisition process. I don't know. I think that's still a very likely risk, and I don't know if this is associated with that. I'm not sure who this user on X is or what his or her source is. It looks
It's a German newspaper article. If you see, it's linked in the tweet.
yeah, I
But
see
it's that like this, that the takeover is stalled, like that's the guy who's tweeting like their opinion, not what's in the newspaper.
Yeah. I guess I'd like to see a more reliable source or get a chance to read more into this newspaper. I mean, I have no doubt that we're going to get an update during the earnings call, anyways. But it has been a while. It has been a while since we announced the acquisition, and nothing's really moved.
Again, we're in Europe, and we're in Germany.
That's very reassuring.
Yeah, but how do you call it? There's an interesting comment here by SPVCE TVDR. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. Like if they don't approve this deal, sorry, it was, maybe I read the wrong name, whatever. So if they don't approve this deal, Mynaric just goes bankrupt, and then they don't have any laser comms for their own national security either. Space Start. Space Start. Okay, sorry.
That's not, unless the government takes over.
Yeah, I just don't know how effective. I mean, the government can't even make a decision about this deal. How effective are they going to be at running Mynaric? I don't know. Anyways, I don't think this is, again, not a sign of trouble. This is just a sign that you're in Europe. And again, the Greenland takeover is between Denmark and US. I don't know if the Germans would, like, I don't know. I don't see it.
Well, hopefully we'll get some official clarification soon.
Yeah, there is a fellow European here in the chat. Agree on Vince as a fellow European. Germany is very pünktlich, meaning very precise. A lot of regulation and bureaucracy. Yeah, things are not fast here, unfortunately. Cool. Okay, we go to the next one, which is a one sec. Here we go. So SpaceX made $8 billion profit last year. IPO could value the company at 1.5 trillion. SpaceX has generated about 8 billion in profit on 15 to 16 billion in revenue last year, with Starlink accounting for 80% of the profit. So the reason why I wanted to highlight this tweet, because I think it went a little bit unnoticed in the Rocket Lab community, is that this is Rocket Lab's future. Like we have been talking so much about, like, what is the future profit and gross margin going to be for Rocket Lab, and like it's so interesting that the rockets are only a keys to space, and they're actually a very bad business and they're money pits. But once you have the rockets, so once Neutron is done and Sir Peter Beck announces the satellite constellation that they're going to do, it's also going to have 50 to 60% profit margin, and is going to be insanely profitable. And so I don't know if, like, I've been saying for a long time that I have a very hard time valuing Rocket Lab, because I feel that, all the sales, the P, the price to sales, they're like backwards looking to, when we're developing the rocket technology, and, all the costs of Neutron, and the rocket business is not a good business. I mean, just look at ASTS compared to Rocket Lab and their price to sales compared to, like, how much more credit the ASTS story is being given. But that is the Rocket Lab story, except it's way more thorough, a lot more meat on the bones, as they say, because Rocket Lab is going to be able to go into way more verticals than ASTS, and they will be able to compete and make it way cheaper. And so I have a very hard time valuing Rocket Lab. I just know that the price to sales is probably not a good metric to value them on. And this tweet for SpaceX is giving a very nice clue of what the future will hold for us.
Yeah, I think it's always hard to put a price on growth companies, right? A lot of what's priced in is speculation and anticipation of what is yet to come. With Rocket Lab, I think their constellation will obviously be a big thing once we figure out what that's going to be. But in the meantime, you mentioned ASTS, and I'm going to get a lot of hate from the space mob. I'm really happy that they're doing great. But I have always looked at ASTS as a single product company, right? While Rocket Lab has a lot of integration. You have the launch, you have all the space systems, and hopefully soon, constellations and additional payloads. So that's always been my fallback with Rocket Lab as a company, is if one of them is struggling, you have support from all the other revenue streams, and that's why I'm so big on Rocket Lab. But regarding SpaceX, I mean, it's going to be huge if and when they finally IPO, and I'm hoping that the rising tide raises all the little boats in there.
Yeah. Curtis, Rocket Lab and ASTS have two totally different business plans. I never compare them. Yeah, I mean, what I meant to say is, you know how Sir Peter Beck says that, you know, the rockets are like a 5 billion TAM, and then the space systems is like a 30 billion TAM, and then the space applications is like 350 billion. And I saw this guy, I can't remember his name. He used to be like a very big Rocket Lab shareholder, and then he sold everything and went into ASTS, and then he started being a little bit conspiratory, and like him and Matt, I can't remember his name. Him and Matt were.
Yeah, it was Tim originally, and I think he's Alexander now, right?
I actually don't know, but he made a very good point that like the reason why ASTS is like valued so well is because they're going into the 350 billion market of the space, and Rocket Lab currently is only operating on the 5 and the 30 billion TAM. And
yeah,
he's not wrong, but no. Rocket Lab's aim is to go into the 300 with having their own rockets, with having their own full vertical. So like, I think Rocket Lab is going to be very hard to compete against in the future. And my point is not that the launch business is going to go away or the space business is going to go away, but you see here that the application of SpaceX is 80% of the profit. So like what I'm trying to say is that the future space infrastructure is going to be so big and so profitable that it will basically like eclipse and almost make Rocket Lab into like a one product company, but it's not, because it still has all those components and all the possibilities of, you know, like going into space data centers or, you know, other constellations. But that is going to be like, Rocket Lab is going to be 80% space applications and the rest the space system and launch.
Yeah. I think Rocket Lab has always asserted the model of crawl, walk, run, right? I think we're currently in speed walking mode, almost at the running point. So I think there's a lot of good inflection points coming up in the future, and figuring out what that constellation is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments pointed out that Rocket Lab turns 20 on June 29th of this year, and that's true. 20 years,
wow.
2016.
Wow, that's amazing.
2016. Yeah.
When what was the date again?
June 29th.
June 29th. Wow. We should do a celebration or something. That's and the United States turns 250. It's full of anniversaries. Amazing. Cool. And by the way, still back to the IPO. So it looks like the SpaceX IPO is pulled forward to June. And I hear rumors that they're merging with XAI. Maybe they're merging with Tesla. Maybe they're reverse merging with Tesla. I don't know. I don't know what's credible and not credible.
Maybe they're putting up 1 million satellites in space.
Yeah. I think that's based on an FCC application that was sent in. So I think that's pretty credible.
That's a lot of satellites. Will we be able to see space anymore?
I mean, because like, imagine cars. Like how many cars is there on the planet? Like I think there's 20 million new cars sold. No, I think it's 20 million new cars sold per year. Yeah, but the point is, like, when you zoom out on Earth, like, you can barely see cars on Google Map. And imagine that, like, as you grow Earth, like the circumference of Earth, and then you go into orbit. So like in Leo, there's even like probably 2 times as much space for the satellites, which are smaller than cars. And then if you go to MEO, I think it's like 10x or 15x the space that you have down on. So I think we'll be fine. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I hope so. According to Claude, there are 1.6 billion cars in the world.
Jesus, yeah, exactly. Way more than I thought. So, yeah. And I mean, like, look at like, if you look at Google Maps and you like, you're not super zoomed in, like, you can barely see cars.
Yeah.
So it's, I think we will be fine. So I was thinking a lot, and I think this IPO can be like a blessing and a curse at the same time, because it could be because the IPO is so big that people who want to participate have to sell other things to participate. And obviously, if suddenly there's a lot of selling pressure, um, then it could hurt. I don't know if there's, okay, people, is there people here who would trim their Rocket Lab position to buy the SpaceX IPO? Like, it's just for, I want to see if this group of people exist and how big it is. Because I saw an analysis on Tesla stock that so many Tesla investors want to buy into SpaceX, and a lot of Tesla investors who are very OGs, like they're sitting on huge positions with the like very low cost basis on Tesla stock. And for them, the only way to get a meaningful part of the SpaceX IPO is to trim a huge part of Tesla stock. And if there's a lot of investors who are going to do that, that is going to create their Tesla stock. So yeah, so it could be that the SpaceX IPO gives a halo effect, but it can also be that it sucks out all the air in the room and we will deflate because, yeah.
I don't think so. I think it would come to market very hyped. I think like any other IPO that we see this big, it would instantly go to like $1,200. And I think people are going to start to look at the alternative. I think if folks have not yet started to look at the space sector for growth companies, for credible growth companies, you type in buzzwords like, second most successful behind SpaceX, and you're almost always going to get Rocket Lab. So I think if anything, hopefully it drives more folks to our side, because I know that we will be significantly cheaper at whatever SpaceX decides to IPO at.
Yeah.
How do you like my mug?
Oh, it's amazing.
It is. I wanted to take the opportunity to give some feedback to the Rocket Lab merch folks, if you're watching. I drink with my right hand. So every time I want to promote the company, I have to turn the cup around and drink with my left hand. So maybe a logo on each side for full 360 promotion would be ideal. But love it.
Yeah, you know how early we are? Okay, I don't know if this means anything, but we took all this merch for like at the end when we were at LC3, then there was all this merch left over. And
Yeah, the
then like
security guard let
yeah,
us
then
some extras. Yeah.
exactly. So we were basically like, what do you call it? Like it was like the George Floyd. We were like rioting and taking all the Rocket Lab stuff that we could. And I took
was
like
rioting and taking the Rocket Lab stuff.
Sorry, you were.
Don't implicate me in that.
Okay. I was definitely taking a lot for the kids and stuff, and so my kids go to school. They're very proud because they're also shareholders, right? And they didn't do stupid cover calls like me, so they actually have a 20x
They have
on
all their
their.
shares.
Yeah, it's insane. Like my daughter put in like $250, and my son like 150, and they have like. Sorry, probably even less. Yeah, because they also bought Palantir and Tesla.
Nice.
And they have like $3,800 like together. And they're like, I mean, if the money doubles like 2 times more, it's like a down payment for an apartment they just started like a year ago to invest.
How old are they?
So they are like 9 and 11. And I try to teach them like you buy these stocks and you get 10%. If you get 20, like you should be very happy. And since they bought, like it was like 600% per year, like on
You're gonna have
like
very unrealistic expectations of the market.
so like each time we have a red day, I'm like, look, today you lost like $500, and I'm like trying to tell them like to not build up there. But the thing that it definitely created is like anytime they get money, they're like, yeah, now we want to buy more stocks,
No, that's great. That's very encouraging. My kids are the same. I think we dumped a lot of money in when it was super red and the threes and the fours, and now I have a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old walking around with like I think $17,000 in their accounts.
Wow.
Each. So they're very happy about that. I think they're walking around school like, hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that Rocket Lab has set them up for, unrealistic expectations. I think going forward, investors are going to want any kind of returns.
Definitely. And what I was trying to say is, so they wear the Rocket Lab shirts every week
Mhm.
to school because they love the shirts. And no one has asked them, like, what is Rocket Lab? Has recognized it. Why do you wear this shirt? And yeah, so we're very early.
We are very
That's
early. I wear my shirts. Literally, my wardrobe consists of every time we go anywhere. The decision is what Rocket Lab shirt am I going to pack. I literally have, I want to say probably like 30 shirts. Like I think that there should be a line item in the budget whenever we do earnings that's just dedicated to the amount of t-shirts that retail has bought. But no, whenever I've worn it, I think the only place it was ever recognized was in New Zealand when I visited. There was a woman that was on the same tour as I was, and she's like, "Oh, my daughter just applied for an internship there." And I'm like, "Oh, finally somebody who's familiar with the name." So no, I look forward to wearing the shirt everywhere I go, like I usually do, and having someone say, "Hey, I know what Rocket Lab is," and hopefully things like this, like the SpaceX IPO and more focus on the space sector as a whole and the space race. Hopefully that'll start to bring some attention to the company.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you think that the SpaceX IPO is going to be an overwhelming positive, or do you think that there's a risk that it like sucks out there? I mean, you kind of answered it, but
Yeah, I tend to think it's going to be positive.
okay. Cool.
Lots of
Cool.
people on the
It's
chat wearing their Rocket Lab shirts every day too.
yeah. It, it's so funny. You know what I do with my Rocket Lab shirts?
Yeah,
They are like
you wear them?
sealed and hidden. No, no, no. They're like sealed and hidden because I want to have them like if because you know like when you wear it and wash it all the time, like it starts to like
Crack?
yeah crack and fade, like the colors fade and
Yeah.
certain parts like yeah. And in 20 years or 30 years from now, I want to show like the grandkids that look like I went to the LC3 opening. This is the shirt that I got. Who knows?
That
Maybe
is
it
a
will be
special
a
shirt. That is a
yeah.
very special shirt. I love that one.
Yeah. So like I suck at this. I don't like wearing the very special ones, you know? Yeah. Cool. So cool. SpaceX IPO, we took that up. Just making sure that we are going in order. And then of course cannot not mention it. It's so
The
funny that
Hippo.
the Hungry Hippo has arrived and Rocket Lab released pictures. And I kind of smile when they release the pictures about the travel because I'm like,
We
I
had
think
already
we have
seen all of
seen,
them.
I'm,
Yes.
I'm like, I think we have seen more pictures already than you have posted. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously their pictures are very like high quality and nice. And it's so funny. I was looking at this like white Hungry Hippo for so long that I even forgot that it was black. So when it was like unwrapped, I was like, oh yeah,
Oh, that's
that's
right.
cool. Yeah,
Uh,
that's right.
I do have some questions about the color though, and I'm kind of wondering because when I went to Warkworth and I was able to see it up close, I mean not like up close, but like within, I don't know, 150 yards. Um it looks like it's multicolored, right?
Right,
Um
you see like this green,
yeah, and
black, and
yeah, and as I mentioned before, it was explained to me that carbon composite changes color with time and exposure to the elements. But it also looked like in one of the pictures that I took, when I zoom in, it almost looks like it has a film cover over it. So I'll be curious to see how the color differences are handled once we finally go to launch. Because I know Sir Peter Beck likes to make everything beautiful, and I completely agree with that. So I'm wondering how that's going to be handled. If there's any color variation in the panels, are they going to spray it? Can you spray it? Does that add to the weight? Does that add to the way it behaves? I don't know. I'm kind of
you know,
curious.
I think write this question down, and maybe soon we will have another interview with Sir Peter Beck, and I think he's the perfect guy to ask this question.
I think so too. Yeah. Francisco says the green stuff is a film to protect the skin. I did FaceTime with Francisco when I was at Warkworth, and we zoomed in on this actual what we're
Dude,
looking at
Francisco is like
in
so good at these details.
particular.
I
Yeah.
don't know how he does it. I think it was him or was it Murray J who's like they changed like these carrying rings on the Hungry Hippo like from the ship, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? And then you zoom in and you're like, are you like an AI who's like looking at the picture and it's like find the
Analyzing it.
differences? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
no, close
so
attention to details. Yeah, Francisco said the
yeah.
same thing when we were watching it together. He said it looks like it's peeling on one of the corners, so there's some tape there. So I think that might be some sort of protective film. I'm not sure. And yes, someone in the comment did point out that I think it was Call Me Curtis. Yes, it's not the carbon composite that changes color; it's epoxy used to seal it all together, and that is accurate.
Okay, cool. So I see a lot of people asking about the tank failure, and we are going to take that up because Scott Manley did a video about it, and he has some unverified data. So we're going to look at the video, and then we're going to speak about what we think about it. So it's going to come very soon. Cool. So let's take up one of my favorite catalyst and future contracts for Rocket Lab, and that is the Mars Telecommunication Orbiter. And there was some great articles by Eric Berger, also known as the Sci Guy Space, and there was some very intelligent, wise post about someone I don't know here that I actually saved. It's so funny that you. I was prepping the show, and then this was already prepared, and then you wrote that I want to take up this tweet, and I'm like, I already had it before
Hey.
you mentioned it. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw that Tran last week posted that there has been a JoFuck, which is not a curse word. It's a justification. What? Okay. It's something like a justification for other companies to enter into bidding, and basically, like, the way the original MTO solicitation was written in law in the One Big Beautiful Bill, it was favoring very much Rocket Lab. So it had to be that the company who can get the Mars Telecommunication Orbiter was a company who submitted for the Mars sample return, and as part of that submission, they had a separate Mars Telecommunication Orbiter. And I don't know if they made this because it cuts down the procurement process, because there is like already finished concepts, so you don't need to redo studies or recalculate, and then it's a lot faster to give this. And then it seems like Rocket Lab was the only one who had the foresight to separate out a separate Mars Telecommunication. So I don't know if it was the Rocket Lab lobbyist who did an insanely good job to get that wording into the law, or I can't tell. And then it looks like internally in NASA, they added this JoFuck, which I have to find what it is exactly. And they listed other companies who also submitted for the Mars sample return mission, but they didn't separately submit a MTO. And that's Blue Origin, L3Harris, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, SpaceX, Quantum Space, and Whitting-Hill Aerospace. But then this was taken down. So this was like up in the NASA website for a brief period of time. Tran, I don't know if he's also maybe another AI. I don't know, maybe it doesn't exist, that he's able to like scrape the internet and then get the news like straight away. But then it disappeared. So we don't know. And then, yeah, maybe you can walk us through what you wrote in your opinion part of the tweet, like why they did this. And
yeah, I think the MTO contract will be the first real test of whether NASA's new space rhetoric translates to actual policy. I mean, or if we're just going to go back to the old playbook of favoring legacy contractors and deeper pockets. NASA needs to decide, do we reward companies that proactively design complete mission architectures, or companies that wait for RFPs and add capabilities retroactively? I think based on everything that I was able to find, I haven't come across anything that suggests that any of these other companies submitted an MTO as part of their original proposal. And the language is clear. Hang on a second. I think I quoted it somewhere for you. Yeah, the language says it must be no, I got it. It must be a commercial company that received NASA funding in fiscal year 24 or fiscal year 25 for commercial designs for the MSR mission, and that they proposed a telecommunication orbiter as part of that proposed mission. So when they mentioned this addition and then taking down the statement quickly, I think that is mostly intended so that there's no litigation. But and at first, when you say litigation, I always think Blue Origin, right? But in this case, I'm thinking it may even be Rocket Lab, and rightfully so. If they were in fact the only company that submitted an MTO as part of their submission, then that should be considered. Um, I think there's a lot of things that should be considered with Rocket Lab, including the fact that they already have hardware on Mars. You know, you have some elements of the Perseverance rover. You have some elements on the, what's the name of the little helicopter? What am I thinking of?
Uh, Not engine. No,
Ingenuity. Yeah.
is that the helicopter
Yeah,
ingenuity?
that's the helicopter.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you have Perseverance rover, you have an Ingenuity helicopter. I mean, you have some Rocket Lab hardware on the way to Mars right now with Escapade that's supposed to arrive. And you know, Rocket Lab built Escapade in just 3.5 years. So that again proves how rapidly they can develop something. And we have proven deep space operations with the Capstone mission. Since 2022, we've had the Capstone mission up in space, and it uses NASA's Deep Space Network, the same that the MTO will require. So we've demonstrated autonomous navigation without ground station reliance. So exactly all the things that the MTO needs. I think Rocket Lab, like I said, has hardware on Mars, has hardware heading to Mars, has hardware in deep space. I don't know of any other competitor that can say the same for all those three things currently. So I think that leaning in the direction for Rocket Lab, it's not a handout for Rocket Lab. I think they deserve it. I think given everything that they've submitted, the MTO decision I think will signal to the entire community whether bold integrated mission designs get rewarded or whether it's safer to just wait for NASA to tell you what to develop and then decide to submit an application for it. So I'm hoping that Rocket Lab wins this fight.
So just for the people in the back of the class, so what you are worried about is Rocket Lab possibly not winning the contract, and then they will sue because the way that the law was written, it was clear that it should have gone to Rocket Lab, and that's why they did this to basically cover their butts, as opposed to the knee-jerk reaction when you read the article that Blue Origin is going to sue.
Yeah, correct. So it's a little bit of both. It's unclear, who litigation would come from, right? That's why they put out that statement to try to, I think, maybe make it more inclusive, to allow others to participate. But like I said, I haven't found anything that tells me clearly that other folks submitted a proposal that had an MTO included. I can see that Lockheed Martin added some language, and the way that Blue Origin uh, publicized it. It says that it built upon their original proposal, so that leads me to believe that it wasn't part of it to begin with. So I think Sir Peter Beck had the foresight to include it, and whether maybe the folks that asked for the proposals didn't think of it at the time, or then recognized that Rocket Lab had included one and thought, hey, that's a good idea. Maybe we should tell everyone to submit for one of those, or to cut down on the paperwork and just get it all one and done, like you said. But I don't know. To me, it shows that if NASA can't reward the kind of foresight and execution, then new space is just a marketing slogan. I would hate to see this project go to a legacy contractor or somebody with deep pockets who can sue and complain.
So is Blue Origin legacy for you, or they're the deep pockets?
They're the deep pockets.
Okay. Because like the contract going to Blue Origin, it would be still sort of commercial space. Like,
yes, definitely.
Yeah. So it wouldn't really go against, like, I mean, if it would go to Northrop or L3 Harris, like that for me would be like, okay, what is this? Like we're saying one thing, we're doing another. But I would hate that it goes to Blue Origin, but it would be okay. That's still new space.
It is commercial space, but as we've all seen, Blue Origin has a tendency to bring legal action when they don't get what they want. So, like I said, when I mentioned legal action, it's unclear to me who would bring it. I initially thought it would be Blue Origin just because we've seen, cases like this in the past, but it could also be Rocket Lab because if they were the only ones who submitted an MTO to begin with, like I said, and that's clearly what the language says, that you have to have had submitted one from inception. then there shouldn't be any reason why they should be considering others who didn't include one from inception.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. So from the chat, do you guys think that NASA? First of all, I don't know if NASA is even doing this because it like went up on the website and it was taken down. So I don't know if this was official or was just not supposed to be on the website, or yeah, it's a little bit confusing even like that part to me. If it was just a leaked document that is coming, so let's say that it's a real document. Do you guys think that it's to keep Rocket Lab from suing, which would mean that Rocket Lab doesn't get the contract? Or do you think that it's to show that, okay, we actually did look at the others and Rocket Lab was the best, and it's to keep like Blue Origin from suing so that they cannot sue that, hey, there was actually no competition because there was only Rocket Lab who was, like, yeah. And BO stands for body odor.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. That would, if they would give it to Rocket Lab and to Blue Origin, I don't know if I actually also thought about it. Like, what if they award like 2 telecommunication orbiter? But I read somewhere that like it actually does cost a lot of money, this orbiter and the launching of the orbiter. Like, so I don't think that from 700 million you can profitably make 2 orbiters.
Yeah, but this is much more than about this one contract. I mean, I'm watching this closely because it's bigger than the one contract. It's about whether NASA's transformation under Isaacman is real or just talk. Like I said, Rocket Lab delivered Escapade on time, on budget, in 3.5 years. They have the only operational deep space mission using the exact technologies that the MTO is going to require. And
Blue Origin, yes, they have deep pockets, but they have been late with everything. Like, that's also their track record,
They have.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's definitely a very interesting discussion topic. So next one is we have finally gotten the earnings announcement. So it's the Q4 and the 2025 full year earnings on February 26th, Thursday, after 1 hour after the market. And yeah, it's going to be super interesting. We know that we're going to get an update about the Rupture tank. And on the Rocket Lab Weekly, I think next week or in the coming weeks, we're going to do a lot of like numbers and what are we expecting, and what are they going to say and show. But I don't know if we should go into that now. What do you think?
I think you mentioned the tank rupture. Do you have that queued up still after this?
Definitely. Let me.
So if we can cover both, we can cover both. Whatever you want to do. In regards to what I think of the fourth quarter, I think we are looking forward to a lot of updates. Definitely some information on the tank rupture. What circumstances did it rupture under? What were we aiming for? And how that, of course, the big question, how that affects the timeline for Neutron to the pad. Financials as usual. Mynaric acquisition, definitely something that I'm going to be looking forward to. And any other potential acquisitions. I think Adam Spice always talks about a robust pipeline to M&A. I want to know if they can give us a little bit of insight on that, see if there's anything else coming down the pike that we don't know about.
Ooh, 1 sec, my battery is dying.
Oh, okay. Let me look at the comments here. I think Rocket Lab can compete on price and time. Why risk it with BO? I agree. I think as Vince mentioned, BO has been late to everything. Them putting now a pause to their carnival ride is is another indication that they're looking to maybe funnel some of their workforce to other things to speed things up, hopefully, or to be more capital efficient. But yeah, thanks to Pato that gave us the breaking news on the tank. Yes, very well, good, Francisco. That is true, Pato. Thank you if you're watching, who gave us the breaking news on the tank. I think I was very, very sad and deflated. I was in disbelief. I was in the first stage of grief, which is denial. And I was like, are you sure that's the tank? I mean, it I can see something ruptured, but I couldn't really tell what it was. He goes, nope, 100%. I'm like, oh, made me very sad.
Yeah, I was also, when I first saw the picture, I was like, is this like some Francisco shit magic again? And then I had to like zoom in, and I was like, okay, there is like parts here. I mean, the community is incredible. Like that.
Right?
I have to ask Sir Peter back in the next interview. Are they happy that
Is it
like,
helpful or is it hindering?
yeah. That's also my point, because I mean, it's like it's almost like if the people are not so like much on it, like would it even have come out as news? Because like sometimes when you do this like qualifications testing, like that's why you do it, like some components fail, and then it's like it became such a news and so viral that they had to address it. And I'm like, I'm not sure that they're happy for this, but
yeah, I don't know. I think I made a similar comment on one of my posts. It was like, with visibility comes, sometimes the consequences of that visibility. I don't know that they're sharing information on every single qualification test that they're doing. I'm pretty sure they're not, because we haven't heard of many. And chances are, if we hadn't had eyes on this, maybe we may not have even known about it, unless, as I mentioned, it does cause some sort of timeline shift for Neutron. Then we would have heard about it. But yeah, no, knowledge is power, and sometimes it's also pain.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So we have a clip here by Scott Manley, and let's see if my sound works. Please let me know.
Neutron, and unfortunately, they suffered a structural failure during hydrostatic pressure testing of their first stage tank for Neutron. So they had this set up at Stennis Space Center. It's a carbon composite tank. They were basically running the pressure up, and apparently it failed at 120% of expected flight pressures. And sure, that means they have a 20% of margin, but
just want to say the B-roll is completely different. It's the thrust. Yeah. So just want to point it out.
20% is not enough of a margin for any reasonable engineer. So they'll be looking at this and trying to figure out if this is a design defect or if there's a manufacturing issue. They're going to be looking at this, but Neutron, they say that they still think that they remain on schedule for a 2026 debut. We've also seen other components of Neutron being moved around to various test sites, like the Hungry Hippo fairing has been seen on barges moving one place or another. Blue Origin, they have a couple of news things. First of all, Blue Origin unveiled TerraWave. This is a new satellite constellation, which isn't like those other satellite constellations.
So he said it was 20, like it was tested at 120%, and which is better than the 100%, but they thought that it should be a lot more. And he doesn't name any sources. He cuts the wrong B-roll. He says that the thing was at Stennis when it was in Maryland. And I seem to remember, now that I'm watching this like for the third time now, that Sir Peter Beck, that everything on the rocket has like a safety factor of 1.1, which is like a 10% safety factor. And this was at 100, because obviously like the safer you make something, like the heavier it gets, and the mass on the rocket is not your friend, so you have to compromise. And we know that a good rocket compromises when all the engineers are equally unhappy, according to Sir Peter Beck. So I a bit questioned the data that we heard. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the other kind of inconsistencies, kind of take away from the credibility. I mean, Scott Manley does great videos, and he has a lot of information he publishes at one time. So I'm sure it's, getting together B-roll is something that they do relatively quickly and maybe didn't necessarily check. But no, not Stennis. That was not the right picture. And I have not seen anywhere, and I looked everywhere I could look to see if there had been any official information put out at what pressure it actually failed at. So I don't know where he's getting the 100%, 120%. I reached out to him on YouTube, but he hasn't responded yet. I can reach out to him on X, but it'll be interesting to know. I know that when you do qualification tests, from what I understand, I think you wanted to reach between 120 and 150%, or 140 and 150%, because that's more of a safety margin, obviously 50% beyond what you would normally operate it at. But who knows? I think that'll be another one for the earnings call to hopefully get some more details on the test, on the what factors led to the failure, and what they're going to do to correct it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's true that the tank failed at more than 100%, I think that that's like very good news, because obviously it means that, and it's also, I must say, it's kind of weird to also say this. This is like another inconsistency that, like, we designed something to hold 100%. It failed at 120%, but we're not happy with that.
No,
I mean,
you want a bigger margin, right?
yeah, but that's like me saying, like, I designed this house to stand, and then I put like 2 more houses on it, and then it crashed, but the one house was standing, but I'm still unhappy because it cannot hold 3. You know, you understand? Like, it's
Sure, but I think it has mostly to do with conditions. So if you say
yeah,
the wheels on my car stay on the car when the car is operating at 100%, and then when I push it past 100%, there's a possibility they can start to fall off. I mean, there's some concerns there, right? So you want to make sure that you test this, that the wheels stay on at 100%, or the more buffer that you have, the better. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
yeah. I mean, we agree on that. I just mean that, like, as far as I understand rocketry, which is very limited, obviously, but
Yeah, no, me too.
like Sir Peter Beck said, that like everything on a rocket is a 10% margin of error. Like,
Everything?
I don't know if he said everything, but
because I
yeah.
also know, I remember him saying repeatedly that they want to design everything for reuse, and they're not trying to design, the engine, for example, that is operating at its max capacity. They want it to be operating at like half capacity, knowing that they could push it to max if they needed to. But I was under the impression that he was aiming for a larger buffer to make sure that, they could make adjustments in the future if they have to.
Yeah, it's just, like, to have larger buffer, you need like more material on the tank, like more of the, because the tank is like wrapped like with this machine over and over and over again, and then you need more materials, which will make your rocket heavier, which means you need bigger tanks, and then you go into this
Compromise, right?
the rocket equation of doom,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure we're gonna find out about this on the earnings call. And yeah, I mean, I think Scott Manley has a huge following, and I'm sure that a lot of SpaceX and Rocket Lab and different kind of engineers also watch his videos. So I wouldn't be. I saw him tweeting about, like, yeah, it ruptured, but maybe it was planned, and if it was not planned, then did it fail at 50%, 70%, 100%, and he was like tweeting a lot about this, and I'm almost sure that he has gotten a semi-credible answer by someone, or maybe who he thought was credible. So I don't think it's out of his back end. But yeah, we're going to hear more about it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if it turns out that it failed at 120%, I mean, that makes me feel better knowing that it didn't fail before it reached like its regular operational or intended operation range.
Yeah.
It just shows that we need to do a little bit more, I guess, to reinforce it just a little bit to get it to that full margin that we want.
Yeah. Cool. I think that was all the Rocket Lab news that I had. I did have 2 other space news that you kind of already touched on. So Blue Origin is basically pausing. Eric Berger thinks that they're fully ending their New Shepard program. That's the one that took Katy Perry to space, and Jeff Bezos. And the official explanation is that it's hemorrhaging money, and it's a very small part of Blue Origin. As far as I understand, it was like around 500 employees working on this, and they think that there's a better use for these employees on the New Glenn and on the human lunar lander programs, which NASA wants to accelerate. So yeah, I don't know what, because Rocket Lab is not in this business, so I don't know what this has to do with Rocket Lab. But yeah, what do you think about this piece of news?
I think Jeff Bezos is really good at recognizing when something doesn't work and knows when to cut his losses and shift directions. Um, and a good example of that, and I know he's no longer the Amazon CEO, right? But Amazon just decided to shut down all of their Amazon Fresh stores here in America because they're not seeing the inflows that they thought they were going to see. And if you've ever walked into one of these stores, there's so much technology invested in this brick and mortar store. There's a card. There's like 1,000 cameras down each aisle so they can see what product you picked up and which one you put in the cart. So I would venture into saying there's like hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in technology in each of these stores, but they decided that they're going to shut them all down because it wasn't worth it. So I think knowing when to cut your losses is important. And I think in this case, with what I think a lot of us in the space enthusiast community have considered New Shepard really a carnival ride for rich people, right? If I was rich enough, would I ride it? Yes. I'm not saying no. I would love to go to space. But it is just that. I don't think, will we conduct experiments here? Not going to conduct any real experiments in that time span of you getting up there and coming back down. But I think, the concept of, we need more manpower to bolster up, our other programs, like you mentioned, I think that's very real. Um, you see Rocket Lab all the time advertising for positions that they're looking to fill. So I think, finding good quality folks out there who are experts in the field can be tough sometimes. So I think absolutely shifting from this to that is crucial. And I do think that it'll go down the same route as Blue Origin with their space tourism. I don't think there's really a big market for it right now because it's just too expensive, and I think it's just costing too much money.
Yeah. I see that a lot of people are commenting about the safety factor of 10% is very, very low. What is the engineering safety factor in a rocket? Check. So I'm just gonna check it really quick. Check what Sir Peter Beck has said about it. I just want to check.
That I hope no one here is invested in space. Is that still a thing? Are they still listed? For some reason, I thought they delisted.
What was listed or delisted?
Oh, space. It's been so long. I thought they had delisted already.
I don't think it's done yet. So here it says in rocket engineering, safety factors are generally lower than in buildings or bridges because rockets must be lightweight to fly. Engineers rely on precise analytics, stringent testing, and quality control instead of large margins. This means a rocket structure may only have a safety factor of 1.2, which is 20%, rather than the 2 to 4 often seen in civil structures, because every kilogram of weight matters dramatically in spaceflight. And here there's like some quote by Sir Peter Beck. He noted that rockets have very low safety factor around 1.2, meaning that if something is designed to withstand a certain pressure, say 100 psi, it might only withstand about 120 psi before failure. This highlights how tight the engineering margins are in aerospace design. Small deviations or wrong parts can cause failures. Yeah, I think that's what makes his engineering so brilliant, because like any engineer can say like, I need a tank that can withstand 100 psi, so let's get a 400 psi tank, but you just can't do it with the rockets because it doesn't go around with the fuel economy.
Yeah, the trade-off between mass and being able to have the rocket function as intended. But yeah, I had read somewhere, like I said, that usually qualification tests try to achieve between 100 and I thought it was 140 and 150%, if I remember correctly. But again, I don't have any engineering background whatsoever.
Yeah, but if that was true, then it would mean that some parts would guaranteed fail. Like you would Like you would actually note that, okay, this tank fails at 130%, and this part fails at 128, and this part actually still went, like it doesn't mean that it's a failure. It means like you got data because you need a safety margin of like 1.2. You don't need the 1.4.
You kind of need to know how far you can
Yeah,
push,
yeah.
right? Especially if you're
Yeah.
looking to make adjustments in the future, whether it's, extending Neutron a little bit or changing something or adding more payload or whatever weight capacity we're aiming for, or any adjustments to that. We really need to know what the max is. So testing to failure is not uncommon. I think what's different with this particular test, or the way that the press release was worded that we're all reading into, is whether this test was supposed to be a test for failure, or if it was supposed to be just, I don't know, a regular test. But
Yeah.
it seemed kind of unexpected, so I think we're all leaning towards it wasn't planned. But sure.
I had the devil in me when I saw that press release, and I'm like, if Rocket Lab was running late on the Neutron program, this would be like the perfect cover to say that we need to update you about the time. I mean, I must be honest. I got this little bit like devil sitting on my shoulder, and they're like, this is like, if you were running late, this was the perfect opportunity to like point at something like, of course, like this happened, and
this is why a reason why.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't know. I think if they were running late and this happened, it certainly didn't help it. So yes, it added to the running late. I guess to your point, that would be true. But I think they've been very transparent in terms of, we're not going to rush this. It's going to take as long as it takes, and I hope that you're patient with us and believe in us. And I still am patient. I'm still believing. So I'm I'm still here. It's a rocket program. So do I expect other things to fail? Yeah, maybe. I'll tell you this. I hope that they fail before it gets to the pad. I don't want to see a failure on the pad. So I'm totally behind the process.
I mean, when I saw it, I was like, I'm so happy that we failed here and now and this stage, and not a whole, like, can you imagine the delay if all of Neutron blows up?
Not just a delay. I mean, you have a company that is not yet profitable. It's still in a deep growth stage. So much of it is hanging. Like, a lot of the visibility is on Neutron. Even though Space System brings in like 70-80% of the revenue, all the visibility is on the flashiness of a rocket, right? So having it, have a catastrophic failure would, I think it would definitely crater the stock price. So I am more than happy to patiently wait until we get it and we get it right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now back to the last one that I wanted to cover. And that is this tweet by also Eric Berger. He's been very productive this week. Amur is essentially Russia's answer to the Falcon 9 rocket, but it has been in the proposal stage since 2020. Now planned for a debut no earlier than 2030. This indicates that Russia's launch industry is now 20 years behind that of SpaceX. How the mighty have fallen. And speaking about this rocket, and I don't know if you guys remember that the Dragon space capsule was actually the answer to the US closing down the shuttle program, and then all the astronauts that were going to the ISS. So the US lost the capability to send humans to space, and Russia was the pinnacle of the space industry, because I think it was up to 2014 they could still send humans to space. And even the US rockets were using Russian-made engines. Can't remember, I think it was ULA, who had to go over to Blue Origin's B4 engines to basically bypass like Russian components in their rockets. And they're still back in 2014. And maybe even, maybe even earlier, because they're 20 years behind. So that's crazy. They're like stalled at that time, and nothing has happened.
Yeah, 2030 is a long time from now. So
yeah, it's very crazy. Okay, cool. This is all I had for this episode. So I think we went a little bit over time, but I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for making it. Thank you for the audience being here. So buckle up, guys. I'm going back to my night shift in McDonald's. It looks like it's needed for next week. And yeah, stay strong. And if your due diligence says so, it's going to be a great time to add. And yeah, see you guys next week.
I think so. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.